So welcome back to breezy Puerto Portales. It's day number 3, 20 knots on the forecast. Very difficult day yesterday for Platoon and for Sled, who missed races 2 and 3 after damage on the start line. Both boats are back.
Yeah, the short team did an amazing job. The boat is ready to go. We are still in a position that we can have a good event.
Race 4 started in the strongest breeze we've seen this season so far, 20 to 23 knots on the start line, but in fact Platoon didn't even make it to the start while the race was starting. They were coming back into the Marina de Puerto Portales. They had broken the D1 shroud, and that meant they had to sit out the next 2 races making repairs. And in an incredible turn of events, at the same time, the circuit leaders, main rivals to Platoon, Prevezza, have rig damage of their own. They have to return to port as well and miss the next 3 races. And the big loss for Prevezza is that they're scoring 12 points, DNSs, for these 3 races. Things do improve for Platoon though. They manage to get out to the start of the 3rd race of the day. They get round the racecourse in good shape, finishing 3rd behind Phoenix and Quantum Racing.
We can fight, that's very good. Let's hope to sail at least a couple of regattas more.
Fortunately, we have enough distance in the circuit to still be in the lead. We are still with options to go and get what we deserve.
So an incredibly tough day for Prevezza, gaining 36 points. Meantime, Platoon closed the gap to just 6 points going into the penultimate day of the season. And while the top 2 protagonists were struggling with their own problems out on the racecourse, well, it was a good day for the Phoenix team, put together 2 wins and extending their lead at the top of the table.
Today was rugged, big waves, some interesting shifts, and it was important just to keep it simple and do all the simple things right. So the guys did a great job with that today.
So the event standings after 6 races, well, Phoenix leading on 16 points, second are Sled on 26, and third, Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, on 27. What an incredible day on the Bay of Palma, a Hollywood script you could not dream up. But the good news is Prevezza are back in action, Platoon back at full strength. 6 points between the top 2 boats going into the last 2 days of the season.
Well, a very good afternoon. Welcome to the Bay of Palma. It is the penultimate day of the 2023 Super Series season, and way of drama you could never have scripted in a Hollywood blockbuster yesterday. But both the teams that were involved in the main drama, that's to say, the principal protagonists for the title, Preveza and Platoon, are back on the water and ready to rumble, ready to go racing. Albeit the lead for the title slimmed down to 6 points, with Preveza still just holding the upper hand. But in the background, there was a hearing yesterday evening, and that granted redress for yesterday's races to Platoon. So that means that they will score average points for yes 2 races as and when the 2 races are sailed today, because the rules state that a boat cannot be scored for redress for more races than they have sailed. So that's to say that when Platoon race the first race today, they will have sailed, or they will get the redress for the first race today. They will get redress, that's to say 5.5 points for both of yesterday's races as and when they sail the first and second races today. So that obviously puts the advantage to Platoon as and when the racing gets these races get completed. However, so a pretty tough day then, particularly for Preveza yesterday, but they can only do what they can do today: go out and fight, go out and try and win races. And it's certainly not all over. But great conditions on the Bay of Palma. We've came out, there was rain this morning, and that rain cleared away about 2 hours ago now, and the clouds have rolled back. We have beautiful sunshine. We have 12 knots of breeze blowing from 3:30, that's to say cross offshore. So it's going to be a shifty 1.8 mile beat and run. Different direction. We're not in the southerly quadrant, which is the sea breeze direction. We're now with the breeze pretty much blowing offshore from the city of Palma. Indeed, I think that our upwind will be pretty much in line with the cathedral, the most iconic building in the city of Palma, pretty much, I think. And so it will. We have some nasty kind of leftover slop chop from yesterday's big wind, still the chop and swell coming in, but that should dissipate as this offshore breeze becomes more and more established, and particularly as we get closer to land. So it's a beautiful day. We have the cumulus clouds over the mountains at the back of Palma, and we have this beautiful 12-knot breeze, different wind direction, which we more often get late in the season and through the winter. We had a big finale here in 2021, and that was in November, and that was raced in this offshore breeze. But let's see how this plays out. So here is all advantage in points terms, in theory, to Platoon, but Preveza are not done with their title challenge and are up for the battle. So to Gladiator and Quantum Racing still tussling over third place. Gladiator winning that race, third race yesterday, and of course Phoenix, the Plattner family team, Hasso and Tina Plattner's team are leading the regatta by 10 points and looking to finish on a high after a very modest start to the season at the first two regattas of the season, in particular in Saint-Tropez and in Scarlino. So the stage is set. We're going to have 2 great days of racing. Hopefully everything is left on the racetrack and we go into a nice big prize giving party tomorrow night here in Palma. And the big question still is open. Who will be taking the top prize? Both these 2 protagonists, as we've said many times in the build-up, neither have won the circuit title before. Harmuller Spears' platoon team have been on the podium 5 times, getting us close to as 1 or 2 points to the overall title. And 2019, Provezza started extremely strongly and were established as title contenders. They got a 2nd place in the first regatta of the season in Menorca. They then won in Andalusia in Puerto. They then took 6th at the World Championships in Breezy Cascais, and then disaster struck here on the Bay of Palma when they lost their mast, and that really, although they lost 4 races then, that was pretty much the termination of their title challenge. So as I say, it's a 1.8 mile beat. Regis, you look upwind, it's pretty puffy, pretty gusty, and it will become more so as we get towards that windward mark. The period between the gusts will increase, and the shifts, the angle of the shifts will be pronounced, carrying the imprint of the land and indeed the city to windward of the mark. So I'm just hearing that the bearing has changed to 340, so a little bit further to the right. Indeed, that makes it more directly offshore. Just a little bit west of north, classic Mistral direction. This is the we get here. Obviously the Mistral strongest up in the Gulf of Leon, just to the east of Barcelona. It's where the strongest Mistral blows on the Spanish coast, and it comes all the way down here to Mallorca, blows over the island, and then accelerates out into the water here. So looking how things are picking up, we're still got a few minutes before the start. But Provezza and Platoon matching each other just now. The back of the lineup. And I think you would like to hope that the teams will go for relatively low risk starts, considering that's gone on in the last few days. And particularly I would say have been the Phoenix team. Ed Baird calling tactics, and really he said their principal focus has been just to keep it simple. He said do the simple things well, stay out of trouble, don't get involved with traffic, try and let the boat do the work. And they really loved the big breeze yesterday. He said, Tony Norris, the helmsman, was having a ball, as indeed was Takashi Don Cowie just before we came afloat, and obviously had been emotionally bruising for the sled team, shall we say. Quite disconcerting when you have 7 stanchions ripped off the side of your boat in a start like that. But however, Mr. Akura and the team went out and loved the big breeze yesterday, the strongest conditions we've had this season, and indeed low towards the pin end of the line. They have Quantum Racing powered by American Magic just to leeward off them. Gladiator bow forward of the group on the right hand side of the start line. Just trying to get the final acceleration time on distance. Gladiator are first to put their bow down, say, as the most windward boat. Just scrubbing off a little bit of speed and coming back up the weather end of the line. They have one boat to weather of them, which I think is Vayu. Say Quantum Racing powered by American Magic, going for the lower risk option down at this pin end of the line with sled just to weather of them. Platoon nicely positioned, though they do have Prevezza on top of them. Prevezza pulling the pin just a moment or two earlier. Prevezza look like they will get this start if it's clean. Prevezza get the best start up at the windward end of the line. Gladiator tack off first. Gladiator made a nice start and have tacked as soon as they came off the line. Quantum Racing powered by American Magic, not quite matching the pace of sled, although just a little acceleration from them just now, managing to get it into their high mode now, squeezing it up to sled's line. And very quickly, the acceleration working for Quantum Racing powered by American Magic, hurting sled. Sled won't be able to live there very long, nor indeed will be a Paprec, who are the next boat to windward. Paprec in a difficult position, having to pull the bow down and just get a little bit of separation from interlodged the weather. I think Pauline Courtois and the team on the Paprec just, I say, trying to get a little bit of separation, which they now get and are able to tack. And successively, most of the fleet now have tacked onto starboard, or sorry, onto port, with Quantum now furthest out to the left. Alpha Plus not such a good start. They had a good day. Now then, we have this tussle. Could prove to be a match race. At the moment, it's very, very even between the two. Platoon and Prevezza to leeward, the red hulled boat, I would say, sailing very slightly higher, probably with a slightly better lane and a marginally better. So I would say we have 13 knots of breeze. Say the water set flat as we go upwind along South Freer, maximum concentration. His job is to keep the boat going fast, not to drop into their main rivals, Prevezza, who are leeward. Prevezza have the regatta leaders to leeward of them, Phoenix, although Prevezza going quick for the moment. Nice, and I would say, if anything now, Prevezza would, if they wanted, they'd be able to cross Platoon. a really, really good start when it counted from John Cutler, Hamish Pepper. So for Platoon now, the priorities today are to not get into penalty situations and try and minimise the number of boats between them and Provezza. As banned, but we saw the other day that that's so difficult. Point there was only, I think, maybe 70 or 80 metres between them, but suddenly that 70 or 80 metres, 3 or 4 boats materialised into that gap. And that made all the difference on that particular race, on that particular day. Just give up a little bit of gauge to get in front of them. Meantime, the extreme right-hand boat continues to be Gladiator. So Allegra tack onto starboard, and we'll tack across and clear Phoenix. Phoenix just a little tiny duck to go behind. Allegra taking Provezza about. Now the key thing was whether actually in the end Puerto have managed to get enough height here. Provezza going at platoon on port. Provezza on starboard is a key cross in front of platoon. So it is to Provezza. Platoon Arb also behind Allegra. Platoon, I think, are probably going to dig further out to the right-hand side. They're setting up to tack and tacking, in fact, inside Phoenix. Phoenix having to tack away. That's a nice tack, nice positioning from Platoon, forcing Phoenix back to the right. And at the same time, that gives Platoon the position to weather of their main rivals. Meantime, Gladiator crossing the fleet on starboard just now. as indeed might value not quite got the height that Gladiator have, but they do have a higher angle on the starboard side of the upwind. So just now the small advantage, I think, with Provezza. Provezza have a platoon in their lee bow. I have a lee bow on the platoon, I should say. But very shifty, very puffy. We're heading up to the windward mark. The angle's changing all the time as the breeze drops just slightly. Quantum in the mix on that left side there to leeward of Provezza and platoon. And the one boat way out on that left side coming upwind, I think, is Prec. So now on the TV boat or media boat is just approaching the windward mark, and say that, as we predicted, the sea state is notably flatter and more orderly. But I think this is going to be a close mark rounding. 1.8 mile beat. So I would say looking quite good for Gladiator, actually. Starboard tack ley line actually seems to hold quite a strong right-hander. And for me, at the moment, Gladiator might be close to overlaying. That maybe open the door a little bit to the boats to the left, if they can read the approach right. Yeah, for me, the boats coming in on the starboard tack ley line seem to be very, very high. This may be opening the door for, in particular, for Provezza, who are certainly closest to the windward mark at the moment. So great conditions, great breeze, flat air, water up at this top mark. Looks like Preveza have got this ley line close to closest to perfect. The wizard for Palma Bay, Nacho Postigo, working his magic. So the red-hulled Preveza, as I said, doing all they possibly can to try and hold on to the circuit title, leading around the top mark. Now, second round is Allegro. Third is Sled. Fourth is Gladiator. Fifth is Platoon. Sixth is Quantum. No. Seventh is Vayu. Eighth Interlodge. Ninth are the Regatta leaders Phoenix. 10th Paprec. And 11th is Vayu. 11th is Alpha Plus. I beg your pardon. So the Battle of the Bay then between Preveza and Platoon. Preveza have the upper hand, having rounded first. They've jibed off to the left downwind. Platoon carrying on straight, following Sled. Sled jibe now. So Platoon holding on to this jibe. quite good breeze down this left side looking downwind. Normally you sail into the left-hander, the lift on this left side of this course, downwind, which gives them a header on the other jibe, and that's clearly what Hamish, Pepper and Nacho are looking for, relative to Platoon. But it's a fascinating battle. You know, we have these great experts of the bay, say guys like Nacho and Jordi Calafat on the Platoon. So Preveza have jibed now. I think the slight thing for them now is they should be sailing in what is a header for them, and that should allow them to sail more directly towards the lower gate. Gains to Platoon down that run. Preveza sailing beautifully. Now Platoon putting in their jibe now. The breeze a little bit up and down, you know. When the boats are powered up, it's fantastic, but it does get and it's just much more close massively as they run out of the breeze. We were just seeing that a little bit just now. In fact, for both boats, and in fact Allegra coming down into Preveza just a little bit, and in this northwesterly breeze, there should be, or you would imagine there will be some thermal, which might reduce the wind strength. I see breeze trying to push in during the afternoon. That will make it quite dotty. But nevertheless, Preveza now pointing Of course, it doesn't matter what the distance at Preveza are. It's all about Platoon. Preveza going round now in first. In fact, they've opened distance on Allegra because Allegra are going to the right-hand mark. I think probably Privet's are giving away just a little bit of distance, just a few meters. For me, the right-hand mark is closer to the top mark. And the breeze, as I said, is very, very up and down now. I think we've seen the strongest period on that first beat. So Allegra round in second. That's going to be close for third, fourth and fifth. Platoon coming in with a gust, but mark room will be for Sled in third. Gladiator going to the right hand mark. No changes there, and it's going to be still Platoon in fifth. So Platoon, as I said, round in fifth on the left-hand mark. Quantum on the right-hand mark in sixth. Vayu and Interlodge together on opposite marks. And still Phoenix in ninth. 10th is Alpha Plus and 11th Paprec. So Platoon is separating out a little bit to this left side, looking upwind. Now I think that Privetsa can pretty much sail the shifts to best effect, and there will be plenty in this breeze. They have a good margin, but really indeed echoes of Barcelona, where they won the last race. They could do more than that. It was only when Platoon gained places down the last run that gave Platoon the world title, but absolutely on air, as mentioned, not putting a foot wrong, sailing like champions, the team which has won the season. One in Scarlino. Held their nerve on that start line, really. Pulled the pin at just the right time, came off the line with pace. Just marginally better than Platoon in that situation. And the key cross, when it came, was went Privetsa's way. trying something out on this left side. They're well clear of the fleet, looking for fact got the fleet opening out a lot in these shifty conditions. over Prevezza. So Prevezza at the end of this race will be at least 3.5 points, maybe 4.5 points clear of Platoon. So for sure the points advantage will still be with Prevezza if positions stay the same. So second windward mark coming up. Prevezza have come in a shyer ley line than last time, got this shift right. But really, all credit to the Prevezza afterguard. They've got both these ley lines really, really nice. So though one of the key things just now is I'm almost sure that Platoon will be through Gladiator. Anyway, that's Prevezza round to the windward mark now. Allegra stealing a good race in second. So Gladiator, I think, for sure losing Platoon on that upwind. That left side paying out off, although Platoon just getting a little bit of a knock and a lighter breeze momentarily. Quite shifty and puffy at this top mark. Francesco Bruni and Andrea Vicentini, Murray Jones, the afterguard on the sled, getting it right, coming round the top mark, still holding third. Now up to fourth is Platoon. And Gladiator drop to fifth. And Platoon have just lost the halyard on their kite. Kite is dropping down towards the water. This is costing them, I don't think it's going to cost them a place relative to Gladiator, but it's costing them distance to Gladiator. Kite is not quite back up again. Powerful grinders, Gerd Habermuller and Andy Axelson are having to work hard to get that kite ground back up to the mast. So something happened there in the pit. The halyard let go, stopper let go, and the kite came almost down into the water. But they're back up and running. Still comfortably or reasonably comfortably ahead of Gladiator, who are giving chase right behind. So Provezza absolutely charging down this run. Really have picked the shifts, the gusts nicely. Big gusts rolling down the track. Provezza, I think, making their time for approach. Certainly keeping a loose cover on Allegri behind, and they have their main rivals, Gladiator, Platoon, a really good distance behind. So the points, of course, are vital for Provezza, but I think as much as anything, a real morale booster. Colle Parada last night was really quite emotional, but said they were coming out to race for what they feel they deserve, and for sure they did not deserve what happened to them yesterday. But this is a team which are doing themselves no end of credit, and you'll see we spoke with Nacho Postigo going on the water just now, and he's saying really they felt they had three hammer blows. First of all, the damage which required them to go back to Palma to effect a repair to the rig. Second was the fact there were 3 races yesterday. That was the second blow, because that was 3 DNSs, or a DNF, a DNS, the DNS. And the third blow of the day was learning that their main rivals had been given redress for yesterday's 2 races. As many would argue, it's rightly the case. So a team which knows the highs and lows of racing on the Bay of Palma. This is where Ergen Imre and his team won their first 52 Super Series regatta in 2017. But it's also the Bay of Palma where Ergen put the TB52 program together in the very, very beginning at the Copa del Rey, going way back. A team with a younger Nick Rogers at the time. Put a little bit of a toe in the water at that Copa del Rey. Loved the class, and since then never really looked back. Although it had some shaky moments in the middle of last season. Anyway, there we go. Bow number 9. Turkish flag Preveza coming through for a significant win in terms of points, but a massive boost to their wounded pride after yesterday. Andy Soriano's Allegra team coming through for second. Sled, who have been third all the way around this course. Getting third. Enhancing their challenge for the Regatta title. They were 10 points behind Phoenix going into this race. So fourth in the end is Platoon. So as I make it, and I may be wrong, but certainly Preveza's Regatta lead should now be at 3.5 points. That will be and then Gladiator coming through next. And Phoenix's Regatta lead reduced by 3 points. It should be still 7 points ahead of Sled. Bayou getting 7th. Next through will be Interlodge, head of Quantum Racing. Quantum Racing and Alpha Plus sprinting for the line together. Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, will get there by half a boat length. Aprek coming down through the line in 11th on starboard jibe. But the last 4 boats having a great race as well, but fantastic conditions. Beautiful sunshine, a little bit of a chill in the air now as we get into the latter part of September. This northerly breeze, you get this beautiful clear light. And as I say, Preveza then still holding the Regatta lead, sort of the circuit lead. But let's see what happens in this second race. We'll do 2 races today, and it's all on. Join us again in a few minutes for race 2 of today. Yeah, a little bit. The same, is it? Well, welcome back to the Bay of Palma. We're going to the second race of the day. Breeze is very similar to the previous race, the first race of the day, which was won comfortably by Prevezza. Prevezza have a 3.5 point lead overall for the circuit. That will be adjusted, of course, because Platoon get 5.5 points of redress straight away for the second race that they missed yesterday. So in effect then a small lead, I think 3 points to Platoon in effect at the start of this race, but it's very, very even on the start line. Platoon to weather of Prevezza this time. Actually a little bit more biased perhaps to the committee boat end of the line. Not quite as breezy, I think, at this stage coming into the start as the previous race, but it is still puffy, it's still shifty. At this pin end of the line where our TV boat is positioned, we have Allegre, Phoenix and Quantum. Now then, Platoon trying to hold position just about a boat length to weather. And actually they have nice runway to leeward to build speed into. Meantime, Prevezza not quite having that luxury, though they do have Paprec below them. Two boats moving forwards. Final seconds coming into the speed build, and Allegra doing a big dip. They have the time and distance, they have loads of space at this pin end, so Allegra going for time and distance on the pin end. All clear actually called at the by the race officer Maria Torino, so it's a clear start, a really good start at this pin end from Andy Soriano on the Allegra, just going off the pin end. A good start as well from the Phoenix. The Regatta leaders, still the Plattner family's South African team, made it. Once again, Gladiator going out to the early right. Split tack now between Platoon and Prevezza. Platoon tacking away from Prevezza. Prevezza choosing to go once they have space, getting clear of Paprec. So I think the early advantage potentially is with Platoon. No. The window. Platoon slightly bow forward on Prevezza and higher. I think the advantage just now is with Platoon coming into quite a puff, quite a gust, and Platoon sailing their high mode as much as they can to try to get up to their rivals Preveza. These two kind of in match race mode for the moment. As you might expect, as I say, Platoon, because the redress for yesterday's second race kicks in as soon as they started, they are the circuit leaders. So they can afford now to stay close with Preveza at least. But we still have, no matter what, 2 races to go tomorrow. And for sure, no matter what the advantage is in points terms, one thing is for sure, is that anything, as we have seen, anything can happen, and no lead is safe. Anyway, we're alongside Preveza, John Cutler, the Olympic bronze medalist in America's Cup, helmsman. Maximum concentration, trying to lift away as much as they can from their rivals. Of course, both boats, as we've said several times, both boats, the Vrolic designs, both boats with new keels this year. Preveza changing sail designer and sail program. That's what gave them the advantage in the early part of the season. There's really nothing in it between the two of them. Platoon, Harmler Spreer working with the double America's Cup winning main sheet trimmer Dirk de Ridder. Otherwise the team are at maximum height. Jordi Calafat, the Olympic gold medalist, a Spanish sailing hero who grew up here on the Bay of Palma, talking with Vasco Voscoto, both hiking on the rail, telling Vasco what he sees. Coming into a stronger phase of a breeze. All of the fleet, well, 8 of the 11 boats in the fleet on port just now. Actually, Quantum Racing's position on the left, quite good. Gladiator leading of the boats on the right, as we saw in the previous race. Gladiator tacking away early off the start line. So fabulous playground, a fabulous arena for this showdown. One of the best stretches of racing water in the world. Super reliable breeze. What an engaging finale. Now then, as Preveza and Platoon drag racing each other up the first beat. Platoon just taking the lead on the circuit standings by virtue of that redress kicking in for yesterday's second race. perfectly positioned beside these two boats. And now this could be significant then as the boat's coming across from the right. Led by Alpha Plus. Alpha Plus on starboard, who will be behind both, I think. Alpha Plus may actually... No, Alpha Plus will be behind Prevezza. Now the key thing is Gladiator coming across on starboard. I think that Platoon are very close with the Gladiator. And indeed, Platoon have to attack because the Gladiator, and that allows Prevezza to make a big dip. And Gladiator then tack in front of Prevezza, absolutely on their bows. Green flagged by the umpires. But Prevezza, I think the advantage actually swinging back in their direction momentarily, even though they were tacked on absolutely nailed by Gladiator. Between the two Vrolic boats, the two top protagonists for the circuit this season. Really nothing in it. That was a very, very close call, I would say, for Gladiator tacking on Prevezza. And of course, Guillermo Parada steering the Gladiator. His brother, the Collie, is the strategist on Prevezza. And of course on Platoon, Vasco Vascotto, who they won the circuit with 3 times. So Gladiator for the windward mark. So the windward mark this time pretty much positioned directly in front of the main harbour for the city of Palma. slow down. So there we go, Platoon then tacking on the face of Preveza. Platoon have a small advantage, getting back at Gladiator. Gladiator just behind, and to whether they'll both seem to be, or certainly Platoon seem to be a little bit overstood on this windward mark. So looking like Allegra will lead at this top mark. The 3 boats behind once again look to be slightly overstood in this lifting right-hander. So the advantage very much with Platoon in the battle with Preveza. Gladiator just to weather of both of them. So all 4 boats to weather of Quantum Racing all coming in high. So Allegra leading, Platoon will be second. Preveza are third. Gladiator fourth. Jibe set for Allegra. Platoon going with a straight bear away. Fourth is Gladiator, fifth is a Quantum Racing, sixth is Alpha Plus. Sled are seventh. Eighth are Vayu. Ninth are Phoenix. 10th is Interlodge, and 11th Paprec. So the majority of the fleet going for either jibe set or an early set. The difference is Alpha Plus have lost their Spinnaker downhaul, Jenniker downhaul, which is flying. The kite is flying free, and that's costing them. They're losing meters relative to Quantum and Gladiator just in front of them. Getting things back under control, I think. Vayu a little bit messy as well. So for the moment, Preveza doing a pretty decent job of limiting the damage, as it were. They are chasing Platoon as hard as he can. Only about 70 or 80 meters between them. But the advantage is very much with the 2023 World Champions Platoon. Preveza have a Gladiator and Quantum Racing chasing them. But it's going to be very hard for Platoon to break. So it's going to be very hard for Preveza to break Platoon's cover. It's all about the puffs, the gusts, the shift, what you can ride it for. And in that respect, well, the racing downwind and the slight advantage is with the Preveza, in that the breeze, the shift and the gust comes to them first. The breeze is quite up and down as this cross offshore wind blowing right off the city of Palma, and if anything, actually Platoon pulling in momentarily to the race leader Alegre. So I think Platoon choosing to jibe and match Preveza. Same thing applies a little bit now as we go down, closing or converging to this Cabo Blanco shore just a little bit. It's a left-hander, which is to say that if you sail into that on port jibe, you'll end up sailing more away from the mark. So you have to jibe, use that shift, which will take you more directly towards the lure gate. And I think there's been a little net gain to Platoon. But in fact, the two lead boats in this race, then Platoon and Alegre, just have a slightly different puff. Little extra breeze compared to the boats behind. And if anything, they've stretched. Sled coming in from the right side, looking downwind. Seem to have made a little gain, and actually going to end up between Platoon and Preveza. So Sled really coming from nowhere, coming down that run. They were 7th at the top mark, getting themselves up to 3rd, and for sure strengthening their challenge for the regatta win, and actually adding to Platoon's advantage, putting a boat between them and Preveza. A really good run from Murray Jones and Francesco Bruni. And way out to the right, and appeared in from the So Alegre then round the right hand mark, looking upwind with the lead. Then Platoon. platoon sled actually going for an early drop, potentially even a little bit too early, a little bit too conservative, and Regatta have held onto their kite for slightly longer, and although sled will get round ahead, platoon have closed distance on them. But now then Regatta have one boat between them and the team which are now the circuit leaders. That is the German world champions platoon. Gladiator and Quantum Racing going round at the same time on opposite marks. And Phoenix in 7th, I think. Interlodge. So on this second beat then platoon very much have Regatta in their pocket for the meantime. Not much that the Turkish flag team can do from this position. It's for platoon to keep the cover on. Just match Regatta if they try to make any moves. It's a classic stay between your opponent and the mark. So Platoon tack across to keep their cover on Preveza, bouncing Preveza back out a little bit further out to the left. The port tack is clear, the making tack coming up this upwind. It's a new one. Uh, 13, 14 knots of breeze. Platoon a little bit of a messy jibe. Prevets going well down this run. But we have a platoon with a circuit lead, I think, of about 7 points if positions stay the same through the finish line. Certainly all credit to Prevets taking it to platoon down this run. And also massive credit to Andy Soriano and the Allegra team. Have sailed a fantastic day, really a first and a second. So for sure the pendulum swinging the way of platoon at the moment as we look towards tomorrow, final day of the season. But Allegra coming through, second place in the first race today, first now. Great day for Andy Soriano's team. But also massive credit to Harmula Spreer and the World Champions platoon. Just sailing low and deep to come down through the finish line. They had a 2.5 point lead going into this race before their extra 5.5 points comes in, so that would be 8 points, and gaining 1 relative to Preveza by beating them across the line. So I think it should be 9 point lead, but let's wait till the grown-ups and the big brain people can confirm that. But for sure platoon now start to have a relatively straightforward kind of day, if there's such a thing. But really honours shared between the two. Platoon Preveza beat platoon in the first race. Platoon beat Preveza in the second. And really though, although say it's a margin of 8 or 9 points going into the final day. Nothing is certain in this fleet, as we've seen over the last few days. Sled coming through for third. Quantum Racing get fourth. Fifth is Phoenix. Gladiator coming through next. Gladiator, all in all, seeing that third step on the podium, sliding away from them towards Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic. Some big gaps in the fleet now, and actually quite big shifts coming down this run. Big right-hander working for Interlodge. But really, Palma turning on perfect conditions for this penultimate day of the season. Big puff blowing down the course for the last three boats to finish. Bayou, Alpha Plus and Paprec. Bayou sailing deep and direct towards the finish line. Bayou slightly higher, closing distance all the time on Paprec. Close between the two, I think. Paprec just getting across the front of Alpha Plus. Alpha Plus will have to jibe in the corner as Bayou come through. Bayou, a few injuries on board the Bayou this week. Paprec coming through for 10th. And then 11th then for Alpha Plus. So that's it from the Bay of Palma. Great days racing. The advantage for the circuit title swings into the favour of Platoon, but Provezza still very much in the match. We need two good races to settle it tomorrow. Do join us then and see who wins the 52 Super Series 2023 title.